Hollywood, USA, the entertainment and glamour capital of the universe. Lights, camera, action! These magic words have inspired the hope of fame and fortune in the hearts of many who arrive each and every day in Hollywood on their road to fame and glory. Yes, from all over the world and by every means of transportation, hopefuls arrive in Hollywood, such as this lovely, talented beauty contest winner who seeks fame and fortune in the motion picture industry. But here is a young athlete who seeks an entirely different type of career in Hollywood, because just a few minutes from the world-famous corner of Hollywood and Vine is the well-known Hollywood Legion Stadium, home of wrestling workouts and the recognized wrestling capital of the world. And it is here that young hopefuls and well-known wrestlers alike report to Jules' Mr. Wrestling Strongbow to participate in his weekly wrestling workouts, telecast to you from the world-famous Hollywood Legion Stadium. And now, today's wrestling workout, with Bill Welch as your commentator and Jules, Mr. Wrestling Strongbow officiating. This program is under the personal supervision of Mr. George S. Johnston, producer. This program is official. The signal to clear the ring has been given, and wrestling workouts will begin in just 60 seconds. This is Bill Welch at ringside, ready to report the action for you. Right now, we're going to meet some of the rugged boys here in the ring. Kubla Khan, the 280-pound Mongolian, is wrestling with Lord Blears, the British Empire heavyweight wrestling champion, and serving as sort of an unofficial referee at the moment, the Great Bolo, complete with his mask as always. So let's see what they do as these great names of wrestling, along with the near greats that you're going to meet, and some of the promising youngsters in this great sport, polish up their offense and defense for future matches. Lord Blears, of course, is noted for his speed, and you saw him use it there a moment ago to get away. But here's an arm-tug takedown by Kubla Khan, and with a 280-pounder leaning over you, it's pretty tough to break it. Matter of fact, the Great Bolo comes in and breaks the hold for the moment, and Lord Blears shows you how he steps away from those once in a while when it does become necessary. Now he wants to explain something to the Great Bolo and to Kubla Khan, some particular maneuver that he wants them to try out on him, so he can attempt to break it in turn. And here it is. A body lock with head pressure there in the diaphragm that makes it tough to breathe. And watch Lord Blears show some of his speed and some of his agility as he goes to a wrist lock, forces a somersault, and sends Kubla Khan into the ropes. They're up again, ready to go, because, of course, these are the workouts. And this time, Kubla Khan goes by and puts a real solid full Nelson on Lord Blears. This is going to hurt a little bit here. And Lord Blears gets busy with those agile feet of his. And he is very agile with them, by the way, for a big man particularly, trying to get Kubla Khan off balance to see if he can force him to break the full Nelson. And it's beginning to hurt a little bit more, and Lord Blears isn't about to get out of the hole, so the Great Bolo orders it broken. Well, they're working out, but it's always exciting to see the workouts, just as it's exciting to see them in their matches. And now Lord Blears wants to try a leg snatch, and he works it very nicely. Takes down that 280-pounder with a resounding crash, and then they break on the command of the Great Bolo. Kubla Khan walks a little bit like all Asiatic wrestlers, those that you see in sumo wrestling and other types of Asiatic wrestling, lifting the feet high as he steps along. And now as they're on the ropes, the break is ordered, and they'll go back to the center of the ring and try some other hold here. Watch him step into it. Going to be a wrist lock and a try by Kubla Khan for the somersault. He makes it work with all that weight of his, gets the head scissors, can't keep it, and Lord Blears, showing his speed, moves up and is in a reverse pin position. But with 280 pounds working against you, you can't always stay on top. And here they are rolling back and forth across that ring. And who's going to finally end up the top man? Well, it's Kubla Khan. So the Great Bolo says, enough of rolling back and forth. Let's get on with the wrestling. They break, and we're up again. Look out. Lord Blears, I think, was a little too anxious to get started there. He's really having himself a time today, trying to use some of his fine wrestling tactics against such a big man. Kubla Khan doesn't have the skill of Lord Blears, or the speed, as you can see here, as Lord Blears takes a quarter Nelson from behind. But Kubla Khan's strength is a little too much for him, and he snaps him with a mare, even though he was on his knees, puts him over on his back. Look at Lord Blears bridge beautifully to come up out of that hole, get those shoulders up off the canvas, and then get taken back down again, and then counter with the head scissors. Remember, there is a counter move to every wrestling hold, and you give a good wrestler time enough, he'll figure out a way to do it. Locking up in body locks is on the ropes. We can't do too much here. And it looks like the Great Bolo wants to come in and see what he can do now. So he talks to Lord Blears and says he'll take over in place of Kubla Khan. A friendly handshake with those two. There's the bell, and we're underway with more wrestling action for you. The great Bolo out of Texas wearing his famous mask, and Lord Blears and he into it. And look at Bolo's speed now as he got a nice figure 4 head scissors there on the takedown that time. And a word of caution to Lord Blears. He's trying to explain something to him. Now, when they wrestle each other, believe me, they won't be giving any household hints on how to do a better job of wrestling. But when they're in the workouts, once in a while you get a chance to see them explain something to an opponent. And that's what Bolo was explaining there, how to take down quickly with the wrist lock and force the somersault, which he did. Now Lord Blears is going to try it. Here he is, takes it, gives a little kick, and over goes the great Bolo into the ropes. So that's how it's done. Let's see if they want to try it anymore. Now something else, perhaps. As Bolo moves out, always wears this mask, wants to hide his features. Not, I think, because he's not very handsome, but maybe because he just doesn't want people to know who he really is. Just wrestling under the name of the great Bolo. Still trying that wrist lock takedown and trying it very successfully. They move in once again. And this time, something else coming up. As they go to the ropes, however, they're off balance before they can get any maneuver underway. And that's it for the moment. Wait a minute. The great Bolo gets a little excited here. Why he threw that punch, I don't know. They seem to be perfectly friendly a moment ago. And even Kubla Khan is having trouble getting the great Bolo. Look out, a counter punch in turn. A rabid punch by Lord Blears, as if to tell the great Bolo that if he wants to punch, he can do it too. And Blears is mad, and who wouldn't be, because things were going very calmly and very quietly. Then all of a sudden, the great Bolo comes up with a punch in the midsection that didn't feel very good at all. So back to the center of the ring, and they're indicating that at least they want to be friends. Let's see how long this lasts, though, this friendship here. Tied up on the ropes, and they are off balance. And oh, wait a minute, look out. Blears made a motion, and the great Bolo did come charging in with a tackle there, pulling hair, taking Blears into the ropes. And this Bolo, who can lose his temper in the fraction of a second, well, he's done it once again. Now, I think Blears would like to have it be a friendly workout. That wasn't much of a handshake, but apparently it'll have to do for all we're going to get to see. Yeah. So they start moving in. Lock up each other in the wrestling hold, of the referee hold, as it's sometimes called. And Blears is back to working that wrist lock and that somersault takedown and working it nicely once again. And it looks like Bolo, at least, has calmed down. Blears keeps the wrist lock, key lock there, as you can see, with the left arm. Takes it to a top wrist lock. And Bolo went bouncing his way to the ropes to get out of that one because it was beginning to bother him just a little bit.